Okay, here we go with the end of month report on the channel.
Hey Madcap, where's the BeamNG Drive video for this
Well,
month?
there isn't one. I didn't make one. So, yeah. That the reality is, in terms of the amount of stuff that I have to do to put stuff on the screen, to put a coherent video on the screen, BeamNG Drive probably takes the second longest amount of time. Just in terms of how much I have to set up in between, like, actual things happening. It takes the second longest amount of time out of everything that I put up here. The thing that takes the longest amount of time is Fallout 4, the Special 7, which is why, realistically, going forward, like, I'm probably going to do Special 7 Part 3 at the very end of June. That's going to be, like, take over BeamNG Drive's spot, basically, at the end of the month. BeamNG, I don't think you're going to see another hour-long video on this channel for BeamNG Drive. It'll probably be something shorter, just like a couple of scenarios that I want to mess around with, akin to like the one I did where I was shooting pigeons off the roof or something. Okay, well, if you're BeamNG Drive player, obviously that's bad news. More bad news before we get to the good news. Final Fantasy VI is one of the things that's kind of on hiatus for June. We're probably going to pick it up towards the end. The good news is, like, most of June is already uploaded. I have an impressive buffer at this point, so there's going to be a video every day. Sundays are primarily going to be like behind the scenes stuff and extra stuff from Special 7 Episode 2, just because there was some footage in there with Peter Turbo and the agility character that I didn't get around to being able to show you.
What about the other two Fallout 4 runs?
I have no comment on the other two Fallout 4 runs at this time. Maybe. What I can promise you with absolute certainty is a couple of new series. First up, we have a new Skyrim series in which I'm trying to tackle the game on survival mode on legendary difficulty. And oh boy, I've teased this. I teased this a while ago, and I showed you a small portion of it. The rocks falling and everything dying video from way back when, and that's going to show up. At least 3 episodes of that are going to come out in June. I'm partway through recording the 4th right now. Just a question as to whether or not that happens. And going forward, I think that series is going to kind of set the standard for how series are going to come out on this channel. By this I mean in June, as I'm setting up this massive buffer, because I'm going to go on vacation eventually. I'm not going to say exactly when, but I've been setting up this massive buffer because I'm going. I've been running into this problem where it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've plotted everything out, and I want to slot something else in, and well, there's no room unless I want to start doubling up on multiple videos a day, and I don't really want to do that. So in June, I basically limited myself to 2 videos from the same series per week, and going forward, I think it's probably going to be down to 1. And what might actually happen is there might be a specific day assigned to each series, and if there doesn't happen to be something for that day, well, there's an extra, like, pub crawl or something that we can slot in there. So the new series. Well, first up, Dragon Age Origins, that other franchise that isn't Mass Effect, that BioWare is known for. I said Bethesda on the first take of this because I'm stupid, excuse me. But yes, by request, this is going to be done in 10 to 15-minute chunks, and probably isn't a introduction to Dragon Age, because basically I'm going to cut most of the dialogue that I'm not snarking at or responding to in some way. I'll leave just enough in for you to be able to follow the plot, but this isn't going to be like the Fallout 4 Let's Plays. Well, the I guess Life's a Peach, maybe the Fallout 4 Survival. It's not going to be like Saints Row 3 where we keep all the extra dialogue in. There's going to be more gameplay and more me snarking. So probably not the best introduction to that series if you're not familiar with it. Speaking of Saints Row 3 is going to wrap up this month. I've got one more video to record on that, and then that'll be that. Not going to move immediately into Saints Row 4. I'm kind of Saints Row'd out at the moment. As you can tell, it took like kind of a while to finish this game. But so Saints Row will probably go on hiatus for most of July, if not all of it, before coming back in August with Saints Row 4. Also on hiatus this month is going to be Civ. There's just not any Beyond Earth or Civ 5. I know I teased it. I teased Civ 5 at the end of Season 5 of Beyond Earth, but it's just not a priority right now, so it'll show up eventually. The next Civ run is going to be in Civ 5, but not for a while. Yeah, you just saw an ad for Destroy All Humans there. Yeah, Destroy All Humans is coming. Vampire Bloodlines is going to run all through the month of June. Tropico 5, yes, that also is going to start happening towards the end of the month as well. Remember when I said that BeamNG Drive is probably the second most editing intensive after Fallout 4 the Special 7? Yeah, obviously I forgot the fact that I'm sort of kind of doing a Cyberpunk 77 review / let's play, just because part 2 of that did the numbers, and I don't see a justifiable reason not to do a part 3. So again, haven't started that. Blocked up entirely in June through the 22nd, so possibly towards the end of the month, otherwise early July. Definitely something that I'm looking at. Should I say a quick word on content length, just because it's kind of all over the place? For the most part, I think that like 45 minutes to an hour is pretty good for things like Skyrim or the normal Fallout 4. Obviously, Special 7, it's just going to run as long as it needs to cover all the footage that I feel like shoehorning in there. For things like Dragon Age in particular, again, that I had a request to do that in much more digestible morsels akin to an Orc Named Su.
Well, hey, what about an Orc Named Su?
I'm going to bring that back around the same time as episode 3 of the Skyrim Survival mode. And the reason for that is pretty straightforward. In episode 1 of Skyrim Survival, I mentioned that I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm taking the other path opposite the one that I take in Orc Named Su. And in fact, I'll just give you that audio right here. There are a number of points in the quest in the story here where you're limited to one of 2 options. And since Su is... Well, I guess I don't have to get into that too much. As I mentioned in the behind-the-scenes video on An Orc Named Su, Su is kind of a repeat of my very first Skyrim run-through, so I'm making the same decisions there that I made in the original run. Whereas here, I'm going to be making the opposite decision. So, for example, at the beginning of the story here, I went with the Imperial guy, Hadvar, and this time we'll be going with this gentleman here, Rayloff. Just because, well, there's a different set of things to do. Su obviously is going to end up joining up with one faction in the game, whether it's the Stormcloaks or the Empire, and our new character will join up with the other one. Su is going to make one decision in the near future with regards to the Dark Brotherhood, and this character is going to make the other one. So yeah, since that's going to happen in the very next episode of Orc Named Su, I decided to counteract a plan that I had to keep the characters on opposite sides of the map, and basically have Su have his encounter with our good friends in the Dark Brotherhood, our family, if you will, followed immediately thereafter by our new character, who's having an absolute hell of a time, hell, yes, doing her encounter with the Dark Brotherhood. So there's that. That's one of the reasons why Orc Named Su isn't going to have anything happen to it until fairly late this month. The other reason is it just wasn't a priority for me. Again, oh well. And yeah, that's basically the plan for this month. Maybe I'll spit out another Warhammer game at you. Possibly, I don't know. Not a priority. But yeah, just going to keep buffing up the buffer. We'll have another pub crawl? Probably, at some point. I've got an old one recorded. I may as well release it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to editing it. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. See ya. Bye.